Good evening, everyone. Yesterday I spoke about the parasha. It's only going to be tomorrow on the website. We didn't post it today because I didn't go back home. I stayed in the city. So two lectures will be posted on tomorrow. The lecture of the parasha from yesterday in Brooklyn and tonight's lecture. Tonight I will speak about different topics. Different interesting topic. I started recently to speak about true and false beliefs. I came to the conclusion that if people would listen to these few lectures that I'm going to give in this subject, it's going to improve their Judaism and the search for the truth by thousands of %. I think it's a tragedy that a Baal Tshuva Jew would follow what he thinks is ultimate Judaism, and then in reality it would be 50-50 or 70-30. Or 80-20, depend where he learns and what he reads. So I want to educate the people. I know it's a very hard mission because most people don't listen. They go with their heart, not with their head. And not only they don't listen, they even get angry. And unfortunately, when you deal with people that only answer you from the heart, it's almost impossible to reach anything with them. Because the heart is it's like a random number. Whatever comes up, comes out. That's it. There's nothing you can do. When you think with the brain, then you understand if a person proves to you something or not. And when he proves to you, then you know from this moment on you can never ever repeat the nonsense you were saying up to that moment. If you continue to say it, that means you're not thinking with your head, you're thinking with your heart. That's a big problem. Usually it more applies to women, but in this generation there's almost no difference anymore. It used to be that the ladies think with their heart, feeling, emotions, so it's very hard to think rationally about what the proofs and the evidence are. But today almost everyone thinks with his heart. Unless you're serious Talmid Chacham, that you follow the path of our fathers, the holy rabbis, most of the people, ordinary people that I met in my 18 years, almost everybody thinks with his heart. I can count by very, very few % people who their brain win against their hearts. Most people, their hearts crush the brain. And that's obviously no chance to succeed in life, spiritually. If a person thinks with his heart only, or mostly with his heart, there is no chance to be successful and to be righteous. No chance. And also no chance to be a Talmid Chacham that aim to the right truth of God. No chance. Because the brain is the source of the Yetzer Hara, and the Yetzer Hara will always make your brain think the opposite of the truth. However, just to think 100% with the brain is also not good. Because sometimes you need to mix a little bit heart in your decision. There is a truth, but the truth range between X amount of punishment to an X amount of punishment. If you mix your heart a little bit, you gain more. If you don't mix your heart at all, it's also dangerous. So what I'm saying is, we have the Torah, which everybody understands that Hashem gave us, the written Torah, and we have the oral Torah. And in the oral Torah, we learn about the Jewish views. The real, we call it in Hebrew hashkafa, the real hashkafa. If Hashem gave Moshe an oral Torah with hashkafa, which means in every subject in life and in every subject in religion, Hashem has one view. Hashem doesn't contradict himself. He has a view. However, today when we look around, for those of us who don't know how to learn on their own and to use their own judgment, it used to seem that it is different tribes with different hashkafot. You ask one person that is from the yeshiva, he has a black hat and a beard, And he say to you, it's our obligation to investigate everything with the common sense that Hashem gave us, not to be fooled. Everything we have the permission to investigate, even we are nothing compared to the big rabbis of 2,000 years ago, but we must use our head. Then you go to another one, also with a black hat and a beard. Sometimes even yeshiva across the street. And he say to you, you're not allowed to use your head. You have to receive what they told you. Don't ask questions. They know better than us. Don't mix your own opinion. It has to be which one is right. Because Hashem wants people who learn Torah, they use their own hand, and to try to come up with their own ideas, own answers for certain questions that they have. Usually if a person train his brain to think, this is how I was when I started to learn. I used to make believe that I'm somebody important, even though I was nothing, still nothing, but I was really nothing then, Now I'm a little bit something, maybe. But then I used to think that I'm somebody important. So what I used to do, I used to take a book, it's called Minchat Chinuch. It's a very complicated book with brilliant ideas about the mitzvot, hard questions, proofs, questions, investigations. And I used to go hours every day on it, hours. I used to have a big notebook writing. And while I was doing it, I had my own ideas. So I was writing my own ideas, just like a Rambam or Rashi or one of them. Make believe, live in illusion, like most people today. Baruch Hashem, over the years, after many years, I opened the notebooks for the old notes I used to make, and then later in the Gemara, and I saw that many of them, not all of them of course, but many of them were mamash the opinions of the greatest rabbis ever lived. Which means that Hashem gives us a common sense, even though we are nothing compared to these giants. And I always say it in my lecture, I always highlight that. No, don't ever make the wrong conclusion here. In a million years we can't get to Rashi's level or Rambam. There's no point here. Because we may have a sharp brain and we may understand when to ask a question and what could be a possible answer. Well, we don't have a brain that can remember billions of words. We don't have a brain that remembers thousands of books and knows every line in each book, who says what. We don't have this brain. We can use the help of a computer, it can eliminate the damage, but we don't have these abilities. Now these people, not only they have a very super clean and sharp brain, which is in the highest level of thinking, they had a treasure of knowledge in their head that even 1,000 rabbis combined can get to it, to one of them. To Rambam or Rashi or the Tosfot. This is beyond any understanding. We don't have an understanding how a person can reach such level. Many of them were very young. They passed away young even. So you wonder how a person became bar mitzvah and then he passed age 38. So how many years he learned? 25 years he was seriously learning as an adult, from bar mitzvah and on. 25 years he learned, and he writes 100 books in the deepest subjects in the Torah, like Ramchal. The Ari knows all secrets of the creation. Look at people, knows all the reincarnations. Many things. You ask yourself, how in 25 years? We learn 25 years, maybe we know one Masechet good. Good, like we can say everything by heart, who is against who. 25 years we learn Masechet Kiddushin. 25 years, maybe after 25 years we'll be able to remember each page, what's in it, who say what's the all opinions, maybe, if we're lucky. So what's going on here? It's how to understand how they reach such levels. It's not regular souls, obviously. It's 1 to a billion, you can have a soul like this. That's why everyone remembers them for history. The Ari HaKadosh, before he came to the world, the Ramban already knew there's Gilgulim. The Ramban writes about the Gilgulim 300-400 years before, 300 years before. But really what we know about Gilgulim in the world today, almost everything comes from the Ari. If he wouldn't come to the world, we would know very limited information about it. For instance, when we learn the Ari, Sha'ar Gilgulim, the gates of reincarnations, we get the answers to many of the questions that people ask today. For instance, people ask, If a person comes back in Gilgul, in reincarnation, why are we saying Kaddish for him for 1 year? Maybe he came back already, he's a baby now. He was born in Beverly Hills in a $50 million house. The servant feed him with a spoon, with a gold spoon. Enjoy, he gets, treatment, they take him away, he has, all kinds of things that they take him. His future looks very nice. He has a private tutor, and we say Kaddish, we cry for him. He has much better life than us. We would want to be reincarnated where he is. I'm just giving an example. Or much better, he was reincarnated to the biggest rabbi in the world. You know where Hashem sent him? You don't know. So how you say Kaddish if he came back to life? No, what's the answer to this?
We don't know for sure. The trial goes for 1 year, right? That's what we know.
Okay, so he say we don't know for sure. So if there is a doubt, are we allowed to say bracha levatala? It's enough that 1% come back in Gilgul. It's already enough not to say Kaddish. Brachot levatala, ma?
But we know for sure that the trial is 1 year. Right?
So the answer is, what do you think? All the soul comes back? No. Only sparks from the soul comes back. Hashem knows to separate the bad from the good of that soul. Not all the soul is bad. It's hard for us to understand because we think body. You look in a picture, some of the picture is dirty. You have to take it out and clean it and put the pieces of the puzzle back. Because that's physical, so we understand. Some pieces are clean, some are dirty. Let's take the dirty and take care of them. The soul, which is a spiritual energy, it doesn't really have it has an image of a person, but it doesn't have anything physical that you can cut to sizes. So how Hashem takes the bad energy out of the good, don't ask me. It's something above human understanding. But the idea is, the Ari say that only some of the soul comes, not all the soul. Main part of the soul stay in Shamayim right away, never comes back. That explains many questions that we have about Gilgulim. What's going to be in the resurrection of the dead? Who's going to come? When a person dies, if he's going to be with his own wife in Shamayim or the wife from the previous life, which wife? What's going on? Because all the sparks will unite with the original soul. One soul can go in 100 bodies. There's one main soul, and all the other bodies receiving the sparks to correct. Only what you need to correct. And then another spark goes in another body. Sometimes in the same generation, a soul can split to few bodies. In one body, you have to fix your personality. In another body, you have to fix your stinginess. In another body, you have to fix your Shmirat Shabbat. In another body, you have to fix your modesty. So it could be a person is split to 4 different bodies. Each body has a different correction to do. And then when all 4 bodies die, they all unite back with the original soul. So it's really go back to one. But there's now more pieces attached. You understand the concept here or no? So we learn it, one second, I'll let you ask. But we learn, for instance, Moshe Rabbeinu, it's Hevel. And Yitro is Cain. So they came back. Moshe came back. He was Hevel, now he came back as Moshe. Cain came back as Yitro. But Cain came back in the same generation in 2 bodies. One, he was Yitro, and one, he was the Egyptian that Moshe killed. So a part of the soul of Cain came in the body of this Egyptian. Moshe killed him, so Hevel actually now killed Cain. Moshe killed him in a kosher way. He was beating up a Jew. Before he killed the Jew, Moshe killed him, so he did mitzvah. You killed me in a sin, you have to die. But I cannot be a murderer just because of revenge. I have to kill you according to the law. So Hashem made it that he will beat up the Jew in front of the eyes of Moshe, and Moshe had now have a choice if to ignore it or to kill him, or to go and risk his life and kill him. So Moshe killed him, so now Hevel made the correction by killing Cain, which is now as Moshe killed the Egyptian. But Cain still have one more correction to do. Why? The reason that he killed Hevel was because he was jealous that he had 2 twin sisters, 2 beautiful females born with him. So he have 2 wives. There was no brother and sister yet, no forbidden relation, because it was the beginning of the world. Only when the Torah was given, only actually the time of Noah, the first laws were given to humanity about permitted relation or forbidden relation. But over here, you know, in a time of creation, he was able to be with his sister. It was no problem. But Cain only had one twin. The oral Torah teaching us. So now he killed him because of a female. He has to give him a female. Measure for measure. Measure for measure. So, measure for measure. So now Yitro gives his daughter Tzipora to Moshe, which means Cain give a female to Hevel. I'm done with you. The correction for Cain was done. One he corrected by getting killed, measure for measure, and one he gave him a female because that's the reason he killed him for. So now Cain made correction. So you see, here is a perfect example how one individual comes in two bodies. Maybe he comes in other bodies, I don't know. We only know about this from what I read all my life. I never saw any other source. But at least we know, here is a perfect example of what the Ari is speaking about. Yes?
If the soul has many sparks, what happens when the spark suffers from correct?
What happened to the sparks when?
If the soul suffers from correct.
If the soul gets cut out, then obviously what happened here is that the main part of the soul, not the sparks, the main part with everything that attached to it, has chas v'shalom no share to the world to come. He loses share. Rambam writes, nichratim ve'ovdim. They get cut and get lost, whatever that means. What does it mean, get lost? I don't know. Is Hashem destroy that soul? This soul stop from existence? This soul stay in hell forever? It's very hard to know. Only Hashem knows. You know, you read a lot about it, but to put a clear picture is very difficult. I tell you what the book of Reshit Chochmah said. It's a very Kabbalistic book. It's called Reshit Chochmah. It was written by a big Talmid Chacham more than 400 years ago, Rabbi Vidash. And he wrote that there are 7 different places in hell. Shiva Medore Gehenom, 7. The 6 ones, the first 6, you go in and out one day. Person goes in, but there's a limit. Once he gets clean, he comes out. The 7th category, the 7th section, it's all the way in the bottom. And if somebody goes there, he writes, "Eno yotze misham leolam." Enam yotzim misham leolam. Those who goes there never comes out, ever from there. For what sins a person goes there? 3 sins. Chilul Shabbat, on purpose, knowing it's Shabbat and violating it. Wasting seed on purpose, making sin, disrespect about the brit with Hashem. And Chilul Hashem. Embarrassing the name of Hashem and the Torah in the eyes of the world. Jews, non-Jews, in front of everyone. Those are the 3. This is only if a person didn't make tshuva. If he made tshuva, that's it. He doesn't have to go there. It's only people who, to the last minute, did not want to do tshuva, they didn't want to surrender. That's what happened to them, unfortunately. So going back to what I started, so obviously we are not in their level, but we have permission to use our head. We can learn it from Rav Ben Zion Abba Shaul, who used to say in his shiur, he used to say something, and the students used to say, but Kaf HaChaim or Ben Ish Chai say the opposite. Everybody knew, even though Rav Ben Zion Abba Shaul was the biggest Chacham, the ultimate perfect Chacham, because he wasn't only Chacham in Gemara, he wasn't only Chacham in Halacha, he was Chacham in everything. He was Chacham in every subject of the Torah, including he was the biggest Kabbalist in the world. The biggest. Plus, on top of all that, he was full of suffering. We have other Chachamim, big Chachamim, but they're not into Kabbalah. They know a lot of Gemara, and they know a lot of Halacha, but they're not in Kabbalah. It's not the territory. You ask them about Kabbalah, he says, don't ask me about this. It's not my territory. He was in every subject of the Torah a top expert. And on top of everything, you have big Chachamim, but they live comfortable life. When they got old, they became very rich. Their books are selling everywhere. You know, they have nice money. They get some of them used to be the chief rabbi of Israel, so they get a pension for the rest of their life. So they make, Baruch Hashem, very good income. They have a private doctor. They have thousands of people who kiss their hand from morning to night. They live pretty comfortable. But he, first of all, refused to get any official job. He didn't want money from the government. He didn't want a driver. He was paralyzed in half of his body. He was suffering a lot. He didn't print his books in his life. He could have printed them, because the rich people were standing online to sponsor it. What's the proof? When he passed away, all these Talmidim were begging who's going to print his books until today. They're printing his books. He didn't even want to open his own yeshiva. All he had to do is say one beep, and the people would stand online to sponsor any amount of money he would want. But he didn't want. He told my cousin, you'll do what I didn't know, what I did not do. You open a kollel and you learn all the things I taught you to the students. So he asked him, but why you didn't do it? So he said to him, I didn't want to receive money from the rich people at all. Even though he had good reasons for it, I didn't want. He was in such a high level. We have no understanding. So he said in a shiur or something, so they said, but the Ben Ish Chai said the other way, or Kaf HaChaim, this is giant Chachamim, from 50 years ago, from 100 years ago, from 300 years ago. So he used to answer, you're not scaring me. Not that he, Chas v'Shalom, thought that he's greater than Ben Ish Chai or somebody who lived 300 years ago. No. Well, he was very humble, very simple, sitting on a bus like an ordinary person. He said to the Talmidim, he wanted to teach them a very important message for life. And I'm going to try to do it in a different way with us today. He said to them, you're not scaring me that the Ben Ish Chai said the opposite of me. Do you have how to criticize my proof? Do you have something to prove that I'm wrong? As long as you don't have what to prove that I'm wrong, this is my claim. Prove it wrong. Show me proof. Bring from the Torah. So one time he came to the shiur and he showed them that 100 rabbis wrote one thing. And he showed them how they all copied it from a rabbi that lived 100 years ago. So you see, he's the source of it. He wrote it. And all the 100 rabbis that you used, they all copied from learning from the book of this book, of the Be'er Sheva. Everything they learn from him. Now I come and I prove otherwise. The Torah, it's wider than the ocean. I prove otherwise. If I'm right, all the 100 rabbis fold with him. Because it's all one opinion. I don't care that it's 100 against me. I also don't care that each one of them is much bigger than me in Torah. I prove something from the Torah. No, show me wrong. But some would come and say, no, it doesn't work this way, mister. Other big rabbi. They say, you have to know your limitation. The Amoraim, they used to know their limitation. They knew that 200 years after the Tanaim passed away from the world, they can't be better than them or contradict them. So they know their limitation. They know if a Tana says something, that's it. It's the end of story. So the answer is, it's a very good point, but it's not the same. Why it's not the same? Because the way the Torah was transferred, the Tanaim had all the oral Torah still in their hand. And they wrote it in such a complicated, short way that it won't fall in the hand of the Goyim, the oral Torah. That even a smart Goy would read it, he won't understand what he's reading. Therefore, because they wrote it in such a complicated way, then it was very hard to know sometimes what they meant. Sometimes everyone agreed, they know what they meant. Sometimes it confused even the rabbis 200 years later. That's why you see in the Gemara that the Tana say one thing, and there's three opinions what he meant. So now you tell me, okay, so in that case we lost an authentic part of the Torah. Because now halacha in the Gemara is like one of the three. What happened if one of the other two was right? Now we're doing something that's not what he meant. No, it's a very good point. Don't worry. Hashem thought about everything. Because Hashem created the Torah in a way that He wants every Jew to have a share in it, to dig in it. Afoch ba vekula ba. Dig in the Torah, search in the Torah, put your life in the Torah, prove things from my Torah. Yes. He knew that people would come with mistakes. Well, Hashem doesn't know that we are not angels. He knows. He knew that sometimes we even decided that the opinion, the halacha is like this rabbi, when in reality it was really like the other one. We will find out when Eliyahu Hanavi would come. So obviously his ultimate original Torah is going to be over the years maneuvers according to piskei halacha of certain rabbis, which not necessarily all of them aim to the truth. Because you see, one say allowed, one say not allowed, cannot be both of them right. If one say you're allowed to do it, the other one say if you do it, you deserve to die. It's chilul Shabbat. And one say no, it's perfectly allowed lechatchila. Can't be both right. You either deserve chas v'shalom skila, or you deserve a kiss. One of the two. It cannot be, oh, you also will be stoned and will kiss you also. It doesn't work this way. So we picked up one opinion in the Gemara, not we. The Gemara make a psak halacha. When Eliyahu Hanavi come, he'll teach us the secrets of the oral Torah, everything, to the original beginning point. We may be surprised, but Hashem already said, it doesn't matter. In this world, you cannot find an ultimate divine truth. You can get to up to what the human brain can get. But don't worry. You are dismissed from any punishment. Why? You did your best. In this world, you don't have to be successful and you don't have to be an angel. You just have to do everything you could not to make mistakes. If you did everything you can, you're dismissed. Same thing as Hashem gave the Torah like the oral Torah, it's like a raw diamond. Everyone will design it in a different way. Everyone did the same thing. They worked on a diamond. One comes from the Torah and proves it right. One proves it's wrong. Doesn't matter. What's the psak halacha? There's rules who we go by. In money, there's one specialist in the Gemara that he's always winning. In Avodah Zarah, there's a different specialist. In the laws of Shabbat, in certain law, there's always one opinion. Overall, we go by Bet Hillel. There's piskei halacha, there's rules. It's very complicated, the rules. Very, very complicated. You really need ears to understand, to learn all the psakim shel halacha. Even in that there's machlokot. Even in that there's arguments. Sfaradim, Ashkenazim, even on Shulchan Aruch. The Sfaradim goes in one shita, the Ashkenazim has a little bit different shita, translating the words of Rabbi Yosef Karo from 500 years ago. When he says, it's called Stam Veyesh. He starts the halacha by saying something, and then he adds, and some say that you're not allowed. He say, you're allowed to do da 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 da, and then he say, and some say you're not allowed. Who cares some say? Tell me what's the psak. You say, you're allowed to do it, but some say you're not allowed. Veyesh omrim. Or it sometimes say halacha. Some say this and that is not allowed. Some say it's allowed. And some say it's only allowed when da 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 da. Three opinions. Which one of the three is the halacha? It doesn't say. So there are arguments, which one? The last one, the first one. There's arguments, which one he meant. Even between the Sfaradim, Rav Ovadia Yosef and Rabbi Ben-Zion Abba Shaul, they have already a big argument about what Rabbi Yosef Karo meant. Why? They say, Rav Ovadia says, Stam veyesh halacha kestam. If Maran starts to tell you, he begins the halacha with one opinion, that's his opinion. Now he adds another opinion of people who were contradicting this opinion. And he brings it for general knowledge, but we go by the main halacha. Rabbi Ben-Zion Abba Shaul says, Shulchan Aruch is not a encyclopedia for Judaism to teach me all the opinions. If he wanted to teach me opinions, he could have bring 50 different opinions in every halacha. Why he brought only this one? Because he say you have to do your best to do like the second one, which is much more strict. Yes, if you have no choice, you can do like this. So what do we see? It's not math here. 2 plus 2, it's always 4. No. Remember this, don't make mistake, because then, chas v'shalom, it would bring you to kfirah. If you don't know the rules, you would one day come to a situation and say, I don't understand, I'm learning this Gemara. One say left, one say right, and then they say to me, they they're both speaking in the name of God. But can it be both of them right? One say loud, one say not loud. Can it be both of them right? Logically, no. But Hashem said they're both right. Because each one of them gave logical proofs why his point stand. And it's perfectly logic. I could have done it this way, I could have done it this way. Both right, it's really both right. But in this world, we will do like this. And that's how I'm going to judge you, based on the rules. So we have rules. One against many, we go by the many. You know, many against many, who's bigger in the Torah? One against one. There's rules. Who's a specialist? So now, let's go back to what we started. Today, since it's already complicated as it is, today people are inventing new Judaism. They're inventing new Judaism. Maybe they mean well, I'm not here to put down anyone, I'm not here to criticize anyone. Maybe they mean well, maybe they think that's the right way, I don't know. We find new fashion in our streets today, that if you really dig and check where they bring it from, you don't find one source to what they say. Nothing whatsoever. Sometimes the source comes from, I don't want to tell you where. Somehow it penetrates Judaism, but it didn't come from Jewish sources. It's not only in minhagim, in customs, that some of these customs were taken from places that not from the real Torah. Sometimes the hashkafa, it's not Jewish. The views, it's also not Jewish. And if chas v'shalom, you can learn it inside the yeshiva. So what's the point? The idea is to train the people, everything you've been taught, you have to give a lot of respect, but you can always ask, can I see the source? Can I see the source? You tell me that if I won't go once a year to Russia, I'm not a kosher Jew and I cannot connect to Hashem unless if I go to the grave of this rabbi. I want to show me a proof where does it say such thing in the Torah. Show me in the Gemara such a source. Show me by the Rishonim such a source. Show me. Show me the source. Maybe you convince me. Then right away I join you. There's no source to it. Show me another source and I'm allowed to bow down to a chair of somebody who died because he was a holy man. Show me a source to it. The Torah says exactly it's avodah zarah, not allowed. There's no source for it. But you will convince thousands of new Baalei Tshuva that you have to do it if you want to be a kosher Jew. Christians also make up things. We cannot be fooled. We cannot be fooled. We have to always go with common sense and check what's the sources. Please do not make mistakes by stories that you hear in this generation and you don't know where they came from, and even the person who tells you the story doesn't know where he got it from, to what the Torah say. It's two different worlds. With the Torah, you cannot debate one letter of the Torah, not one word of the Torah, not one sentence of the Torah. There's not one word in the Torah that it's open for an argument. Whether you understand it, whether you don't understand it, whether it makes sense to you, it doesn't matter what you think. Nobody in a history, include Moshe Rabbeinu himself, had any permission to come and argue with what the Torah say. Erase this word, put a different word. It cannot be that Hashem wanted this word. Nobody is allowed to do it. If the Torah told you that bread fell from heaven, even though it's hard for you to believe, how can it be? Because it's a huge miracle. It's not open for debate. Hashem is not a liar. It's for sure happened. If he told you that he split the Red Sea and we went through, it's for sure happened. Now I'll tell you what the risk is. The risk is that when someone gives me some book that we don't really know who wrote it, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, Poland, Russia, somebody wrote it. And he says story about this Rebbe and that Rebbe and this Baba. He gives me a list of what happened with them. He did that, and he did that, and the lion came and took him in the middle of the desert, and he took him all the way here, or there was no, there was no lake in the middle of the desert, so the radiator exploded. So he told the Arab driver, go to the lake over there, there's a lake right there in the desert, and the Arab found water in the middle of somewhere at thousands of miles of dry desert, and when the Arab came back, he stuck his shirt there, that he's going to know where to start to get water, and all of a sudden the shirt was there, but there's no lake. Now some of these stories, not only they are dumb, they are really insulting the intelligence of every normal human being. If you believe in it, maybe you're a criminal. For sure you're foolish. For sure you don't have a brain if you believe in this nonsense. But if you come and say that somebody who lived 20 years ago is greater than Moshe Rabbeinu, that spoke to Hashem, the only one. Even Moshe didn't go hocus pocus and grew a lake in the middle of the desert. Hashem told him what to do. The Torah tells you every step, and Hashem did it. Moshe did on his opinion. He said, okay, you know what, there's no water here, let me make a lake. When they came to complain there's no water, what's the problem? Moshe say, no problem, go over there, you find a lake. On the way back, they see there's no lake. Why Moshe didn't do it? Because what do you think? Hashem made Moshe God? Only God can do it. People cannot do these things. So what happened over here? Even if it was realistic, we will never know for sure. Maybe somebody made it up. Why? He wanted to encourage his kids to give respect to the holy rabbis and to love them, etc. So that's why he made up the book Sipurei Savta. Whatever the story is. So he comes and say, I'm talking now from two points of view, contradicting each other. So he come and say to someone like me, okay, you and I know the stories as Baba Maises, Beloni. But why you have to say it? The kids are inspired by that. This is their heroes. They put their pictures in a room and they respect these holy people very much. He has a very good point. Maybe I better block my mouth, right? For now he's right, for now, for the next 2-3 years. But soon these kids will become 16, 17, 18, and one day they'll find out that all these stories, it's fiction. You know what would happen?
You'll go down.
There's a very high chance that will become Mechalel Shabbat in a month. Why? Because he would start thinking, basically I'm discovering that many of the stories that I heard as a kid, it's all lies. He doesn't know, like most people, to tell the difference between the Torah and what people wrote 2,000 or 3,000 years later. He doesn't know. So he said, you know what? How do I know there's really was man falling from heaven? How do I know really that this and that happened? How do I know? And he began to question the Torah. That's the danger. That's my answer to him. And plus there is another answer. Do we have permission to lie to make people religious?
No.
Do we have permission? What, Hashem is a liar? Hashem is true based on stories and lies? What, there's not enough sufficient stories in Judaism that we can use without making up fiction stories? Why making fiction stories when there is tons of real stories? That's my second point. And what is my third point? What is my third point? The Rambam say, and this is based on the Gemara, if a prophet comes and he says, Hashem spoke to me and he told me that this and this is going to happen, He gives instructions, what Hashem say. The Rambam say, we're not allowed to tell him, oh yeah, you're a prophet? Okay, make a magic that will see that you're a divine person. Make a magic. Take this tree, make the tree fly 100 feet in the air. If you do it, then we know you're a holy person. The Rambam says, Moshe Rabbeinu, no one believed in him because of his superpowers. That he made some things that Hashem told him. He hit the rock, water came out. Moshe made some miracles. The plagues in Egypt, you know, everybody saw Moshe has power. He threw the cane became a snake, as the Torah described. Why we're not allowed to tell him, show us that you like Moshe? You can turn the stick into a snake, then we'll believe in you. Why? It's a sin to do it. If we tell him, oh, you want us to accept you as a prophet? Walk on the water. Feed 500 people with one piece of bread. Show us you can do these things. Why? Because every filthy anti-Semite Gentile could have done the same thing in history. Bilam, Jew hater, enemy of Israel, was able to do things. The little children by Pharaoh Palace, whatever Moshe did, they did the same, except lice. Lice they couldn't do because it's too small to do kishufim. There's magician today in the world that they can prove to you that they take your wife and cut her to pieces. Some people would hope that it's not a magic. That he puts one over there and one over there, you see the head over there, the legs over there. How can it be? The head over there and the legs over there, same skirt. You see the skirt that you just went into the box, They show you all kinds of things. They take a sword, they make the body lay on the sword. The kids will be sure 1,000,000% that it is exactly like what Moshe did. It's all achizat enaim. It's a trick. It's tricking the eye. It's many tricks. Some magicians told some of their tricks. Very, very sophisticated how they do it. They have a hole in the stage. They go and somebody switch with the same clothes. Unbelievable how they do all these things. But people can follow now this magician as the new prophet because he was able to perform a nice show. So the Torah said magic does not prove anything. When? 2,000, 3,000 years ago. Needless to say today. It's nothing to even talk about. It does not prove anything. If you're able to make magics, it doesn't prove anything. So what do we need to teach the kids that the holy rabbis are able to make magics? According to the Torah, it's not even an advantage. We're not allowed to go by this advantage. That's not what Hashem wants. Hashem wants us to admire the Baba Sali because he was a holy man. He never put one not kosher thing in his mouth in his entire life. And he covered himself more than the ladies today. Even hairs didn't come out. And he was hardly eating. And all his life was Torah and Yirat Shamayim and Chesed and helping people. And he had his yeshiva, and his wife was cooking for the yeshiva. And he gave his life for Hashem and for the nation of Israel. For that, we have to admire him. Not because he was able to to drink 300 people with one bottle of arak, as some people testify. You know, that's not what we have to admire him for. We have to admire him for that he was a giant chacham. You have to know one thing. In the Torah, it's all about one thing. If a person claims that he has Ruach HaKodesh, I have a vision, I see things. I said in one of my previous lectures, there are only one way to have Ruach HaKodesh. Only one way. Rule number one, you have to be very knowledgeable in Torah. You don't know Torah or you barely know, you can never have Ruach HaKodesh. Never. Even if your grandfather was the holiest person in history, or your father. You can never have a vision, holy vision. Now, why? Because you're not in a minimum level required. You may ask me, but we have people that have some powers, and they don't know Torah. The answer is, kochot atumah. Hashem said, the power of impurity can do the same thing like the power of holiness. Why? Not to ruin the balance of the choice in the world. Free choice. Hashem doesn't want only the holy people to be able to do this. So he wanted the other people to do it as well. That's why it's not an indication of anything. If you use kochot atumah, it's much worse. Because he can make you damage later on. It looks like he's helping now, but it's not good. Some of the people who take care of their patients, they pretend they have powers, they use all kinds of tricks. They put under their bed wires that have electric. And when he brings his hand to the body and he touches with his leg on a switch, he doesn't know. So he feels heat in his body, but there's a little wire who makes everything hot and with small voltage. And he show him, he's touching his back right now. Oh, I feel the energy. Wow, this healer, you know, he has things in his hand. One of these people is a very famous Israeli guy. Who is the most famous magician, superpower person in the history of Israel? Uri Geller, right? Uri Geller. He became a multi-millionaire. Was a friend of Michael Jackson and all the gang. How he got from a little Israeli boy from the neighborhood to be in Hollywood, the friends of all the so-called important people. He was making magics. He took a spoon and he went like this, and after a few minutes the spoon became all like a shape of a U. And he claimed that he can move an object with his mind. He did all kinds of things supposedly. And everyone started to come and see his shows, and he made fortune, became famous, and that's it. Now what do you think? Was he real, or he was all fake, or half and half? What do you think? Aman Ashlayot, James Randi. James Randi is an American investigator that was following Uri Geller, professionally, investigator. And he wrote a book describing all the scams that he was using, one by one, how he does every one of his tricks. He gave all the details. And then he recorded some of his partners confessing that it's all a scam. And then Randy came to a live show on television and did himself all the things that Geller was doing. And he never claimed he had superpower. Listen good. Randy was making fun at all the claims of Geller about folding a spoon. And he said if he does it with his mind, it's the hardest way. There's a much easier way to do it. Why am I telling you this? What does it have to do with this? I want to show you how hundreds of millions of people willing to swear holding the Torah, some of them with a yarmulke. What? You don't know? In my own eyes I saw that he did it. Right? How many people? Look, listen good. Geller denied all the claims against him and had a habit of suing his opposer in court. So he sued in the year 5751, so it's about 20-something years ago. He sued the head of a source of scientists that investigated objectively all his performances. And he lost in court $120,000. More than 20 years ago, it's double, at least double. His opposers said in irony that if he was so powerful with his mind and his ability, how he could not see that will crush him in court. And I want to add one more thing to this. All the people who tell you, I have a guru, he knows everything about you. I have this, he will tell you everything about your future. He looks at your hand, he'll tell you everything about your future. He looks at your name, he'll tell you when you get married. He looks at you and your wife in the face, he will know when you have a baby. Right? Yeah, how many times you heard this? So you have to say, okay, you know what? I'm willing to believe you in one condition. Please tell him why he doesn't use his superpower and his vision to tell what's the lottery numbers will be tomorrow and take $300 million and support all the yeshivot if he's so powerful. How come these people cannot predict anything about their own life, but they can predict about every one of the fools who comes to them? Huh? How can it be? So now I'll tell you what they're going to say to every person who comes to them. What are they going to say? Listen good. Every person who comes to them, they have already a list of mutual things that actually applies to every person. Every person who comes, they say the same thing. For instance, they said, you're normally a very calm guy, but once in a while you explode with anger. It happens to everyone. You know, I only know one person it doesn't happen to him in my whole life. One of my rabbis many years ago. He never got angry in his whole life, once even. I even asked him that. The rabbi, his name was Raphael Rosenman. He doesn't know how to get angry even if he wants. I asked him once, so innocently say to me, but it's not allowed. He doesn't even know what it is. No matter what you do to him, believe me, he will stand in a corner and smile.
Does he control it, or is nature?
That's a good question. It's a good question. He's a very big chacham and a tzaddik, but you may be right. Maybe it's his nature. But how many people like this in the world you know that their nature is never to get angry once in their whole life? Do you know anybody like that? Now, if it's his nature, he still deserves some credit. That means in his previous life he corrected his anger. That's why he has no desire to get angry. You only get desires to do negative things if you died with those desires. If you came to this world with the same desires, then you still have difficulty. But if you don't have this desire, that means in your previous life you already perfectly corrected it. You know? So let's give some more examples of some of the things that they tell people. So they say like this. I lost the page. I'll find it in a second. Well, until I find it, I'm going to tell you a research that they do in the university. They told the students, 100 students, to draw a circle. And they say based on the circle, the specialist will tell you everything about your nature based on a circle. So all the students drew a circle. The next day they served them a complete report, how he saw their personality. And when they read it, they were all shocked. Almost all 100 students went out of their ways and said, he detected me exactly how I am. It's hard to believe. I only drew a circle and he knows everything about me. After all the excitement in college, they told them, hey, relax. All of you got the same copy of the same report. It's fun, you know. All of them were willing to swear that he read me exactly. So, what we see over here, that we sometimes say what we want to believe. That's what happened, I swear to you, he did this and he did that, but in reality none of it happened. Now, what else they saying? They saying you have potential inside you that you did not fulfill yet.
Everyone has those.
Everyone feels like that. There's nothing new here. You know, of course, everyone has a potential, and the potential is in him, but he did not fulfill that potential yet. Then they said, they say like this, your mood is usually optimistic, but sometimes you have short periods of depressions. Do you know one person that doesn't have sad moments? Okay. Then they say from the outside, you look very peaceful, but many times you feel insecure inside your heart. Or it says like this, when you fail in your mission, you have a way of criticizing yourself and you're thinking for a long time about your failure. Every person has the same. You feel a strong need that people will like you and appreciate you. You know one person that doesn't like appreciation for what he does, or, you know, attention, whatever. You have fear from changes in your life that sometimes make you give them up. Everyone is like that. It's not always easy for you to receive criticism. How many people you met in your life that are happy to get criticized by someone? You don't appreciate yourself as you deserve. This is the nonsense they give. But really, really details about things, usually you never find. Now, graphology. When you want to join a job, you go on a job interview. Some places make you write things and they don't even tell you, but they give you handwriting to a specialist in handwriting. In English it's called graphology. I have to confess that before I learn deeply what graphology is, you know, I'm in a point in my life that I go back for everything I ever learned and double check. Why? I don't want to live in a lie, even in the small details. I want to check. So, I don't know, about a year and a half ago, I was in a seminar, not in New York, And they brought an expert, which is a graphologist. It's a Baal Tshuva, someone who became religious. Seminar for Judaism. And they asked people to write on a piece of paper something, you know. And he is supposed to analyze who they are, the personality and everything. And I asked him, in between, in recess, I asked him, how do you know? Give me some tips. He told me if the handwriting is crooked, it means like this. It goes off the line, it means like that. Small letters means like that. Big letters like that. One letter small, one big. And he gives a lot of things that sounds even logical. Sounds very logical. But is it a science? Is it something that can be proven scientifically? Now you ask me why it's so important. Why? Tell you why. Because if it's not been proven ever scientifically, the people who does it are big criminals. They ruin the life of people. They murder them based on nonsense. They tell the boss, don't accept him, he's a crook. Why? He decided his writings are this and this and that. Don't accept him, he's a crazy fanatic. He looks at the writing. Based on that, they decide the life of a person. Worse than that, Shidduchim. Shidduchim. In Shidduchim. So what's the Shidduchim is? They give the father of the girl, say, tell your date to write nice things on a paper, and he takes it to a grapholog, and he looks at that, and he says, oh, you don't want your daughter to marry him. Make them break up right away. In reality, he was the best guy in the yeshiva. Now I'm going to tell you why it's not reliable. Now I'm going to tell you. Many investigators are opposing the use in graphology. Why? Because people never write the same. Sometimes a person writes in one way. I know myself. If you look at my big notebook, when I write all my ideas about what to speak about, I look sometimes on a page and say, wow, here I was in the mood of a neat lady. You know how the ladies write, everything beautiful. Over here I was like, one letter here, one letter went off the line. Over here, letters go to the right, over here to the left. What is it? Different kinds of handwriting. How is going to decide who I am? Based on going to the right or based on going to the left? Based on the neat handwriting? If you give him 4 different writings that I wrote, whether I was in a rush, or depend how I lean back when I write in a stander. If I write with a stander, it's a little bit hard, because you have to leave your head in the air, You don't lean on anything. So the letters come crooked and not so neat. But if I write when I lean down, I have a complete different handwriting. You see, the letters are different. If I'm in a rush, I write very fast, very sloppy, and I connect all the letters. And I saw in their books that they learn a lot from connecting letters. What kind of person you are. So it's total baloney. It's a very big scam. Maybe not everyone who does it is planning to scam the people. Maybe that's what he thought. He was taught, and he believes in it. Yeah, possible. We teach things that we don't know. In the end, one day we find out that it's incorrect. It happens to us. But listen good. It says like this. In many researches, the graphologists were asked to analyze handwriting and to write the results of what they saw about this person. 200 different research. 200. You know, for more than 30 years ago until today, the conclusion, with no doubt, was that most of the time they were wrong in analyzing personalities of people. And you may ask, okay, so let's say 20% of the time they were right. How? From the content of the writing, they learn a lot about a person. They saw what he's writing about. He wrote about baseball. You don't have to be a genius to know this person is into sport. They wrote about movies. You know he's into Hollywood. He wrote about business. You know, this guy is into business. He wrote about his girlfriend. You know, he's in love. You don't need to be a genius to analyze his writing. So now it says like this. The rating of graphology, according to the expert, dargat yeilut efes. The rating, 0. Not 20, not 50, 0. 0, mamash 0. And people's lives are smashed every minute by Jews, by religious Jews even. And they go against the Torah by doing it. You should know that. One Bachur Yeshiva, he wanted to go on a shidduch. So he asked the rabbi if he can take the handwriting of the best Talmid Yeshiva. So now, because he knew, they check it by the graphologist. So he told him, Rabbi, I know who I am. I know, I'm there, I'm working on myself. I have, I learned Torah, I this and this and that. So imagine they don't approve my writing. I'm going to lose the shidduch because of this nonsense. So what happened? He took the writing of the best guy in yeshiva, and because of that they canceled the shidduch, because they say it's a very corrupted person. So now he's thinking, should I tell her that I actually, it's not me? It's like the kids that they do a drug test. Just before he enters, his friend waiting for him with a different urine because he's not a drug addict, and he is, and they replace it in the last minute. It's very interesting. It says like this. They took people who they told them to copy from a newspaper apart from the newspaper. And they gave the writing to the graphologist, and he could not tell anything because it's not what they wrote. They had to copy it. He couldn't tell their personality. If you write, they already detect from the words what kind of person you are. I know when I read somebody that writes to me emails, right away I know a lot about the person by the way he writes, by the way he talks. I already know about his emotions. I know how clever he is. I know if his brain is sharp. I see it right away. It's very clear, crystal clear to me. And then later, sometimes I meet these people in person. It rarely happens, and I see, wow, exact prediction. Why? Because you read in between the lines. You see, it tells you about the personality of a person. The more experienced you are in life, the more you know about a person. Something new now. Gematria. How many times you heard big rabbis giving gematria from the Torah? What's gematria? Numeric value. Numeric value.
All the time.
Is this a scientific evidence to the divinity of the Torah? Based on gematria, can you prove that the Torah is divine? If I come and tell you this name, it means this in numeric value, and this, it means this, and that means that, can we rely on that everything I say we receive in Mount Sinai? Or everyone can make his own calculation and his own invention? What do you think? If we hear people who don't know anything in Torah, they make up all kinds of numeric values, I say, what do you pay attention to them? We are talking now big Talmidei Chachamim that use the word gematria. Now listen good, because we're going now to see what's authentic and what's not. We found by Chazal, by our sages in the Gemara, that they use in their Midrashei Agadah, in some of the stories, some of the Agadah that they say in the Talmud, that they use gematriot. They use numeric values. Also we find by the Rishonim and the Achronim, the rabbis from 800-900 years ago use it a lot, and even rabbis in the last 400-500 years ago, they use it a lot. They use it in their books. They mention this numeric gematria, gematria, gematria. So in that case, if Chazal is using it, there's no point of continue to talk about it. Of course it's authentic. Ma, Chachamim, whenever they say it's the word, it's 100%, no? Oh, you see how easy it's to make mistake if you don't check very carefully to the root of the thing? Listen good. Chazal never use gematria as a foundation of a proof. Always as assistant to what they already knew. Who understood what I say? Who understood me? I'll clarify myself. I want to know if you got what I say. I'll give you an example. Let's say Moshe Rabbeinu told Yoshua ben Nun about one law that Hashem told him. You can't do Brit Milah with plastic. You have to do it with metal or stone. Let's say he told him verbally. So now Yoshua, he already know the law. He doesn't need the Torah to tell him, the written Torah. Moshe already told him what Hashem told him when he told him how to circumcise the baby. But Yoshua wants to find a verse in the Torah that would hint to this halacha. So when Yoshua will find a verse in the Torah or in the Tanakh, let's say, that hint about this law, so he would write, Sheneemar, as it say, that's what it says. We very easily can be confused and make mistake. When we read this pasuk, we may come and ask lots of questions. How did he know about this verse? I see a verse that is different than that. We don't know that actually it's the other way around. He already knew the knowledge, but he wanted to find a hint, something that link about it in the Torah. He didn't need the verse. With or without it, that was the law finished. Hashem said, that's it. Same thing over here. Chazal say something. How did they know it? They got it from Moshe Rabbeinu all the way to their generation. And now they use their brilliant head to take words from the Torah and translate it to math and prove their point. Not chas v'shalom that numeric values, that's what they base the information on. Never. Listen good, it's a big common mistake. I remember when I was very young, I said to one rabbi, what? I can make any gematria I say, I want. What is this? How do I know that this is? So he said to me, he showed me gematria that somebody wrote 50 years ago. A modern rabbi, 50 years ago, that's it. So I told him, everyone can do it. I can do whatever I want. I can translate it the opposite and prove the opposite from the same trick. So he told me, chas v'shalom, don't talk like this, it's kfirah. As a young man, I didn't know that much. So, okay. I have no permission to ask. Today I know he was wrong. 1,000,000% he was wrong. Why? Because he himself didn't know what I just told you. Chazal never used numeric value alone to teach halachot. Never we learn halacha from numeric value. No. Only after we already knew the law, they found beautiful, nice numeric value games and attached it to the halacha to show you that it was hinted in the Torah. You know the difference now or no? That's why you and I cannot do numeric values.
There has to be some certain rules how to do this gematria, right?
Oh, now I'm going to tell you the rule. It says like this. Not as a main proof Chazal used it. Only as an addition proof. It wasn't depending on that. And it says like this. We never found Chachamenu using any gematria for halachot. The halacha is this because the number is translated to this. No. Because the word is translated to this number. Never. They never use numeric value to receive decisions about the future, about the situation of a Jew who spoke to them, or about their own situation. Never. They never use gematria as a scientific way of life. Only what we call today parperaot, agigim, beautiful extras. Extras. It's like someone made a big, beautiful tiramisu cake. $30, it cost him the ingredients. She is in the kitchen for 3 hours. In the end, she takes, a cherry and she puts it in the middle. The cherry is what's going to make the cake. It makes it a little bit more beautiful. And without depending on it, with or without it, he will get a great reviews. right? By the tasters. Same thing over here. With or without the gematria, we already know what we got in Mount Sinai. Hashem told us. I don't need these. And it makes it a lot more delicious. When we see beautiful mathematics, it makes it very interesting, of course. So, the Ramban wrote. Ramban, you know who Ramban was? It says like this. En adam rashai ladun becheshbon gimatriot. Person is not allowed to make numeric values on his own. ולהוציא מהם עניין העולה בדעתו. He has an idea what really the verse in the Torah meant. Rashi say one thing, but he has a different opinion. Maybe the Torah meant something else. So he sit all day and he calculate psukim, words in different places in the Torah. Oh! He found something beautiful. From this numeric value, and this pasuk has the same numeric value, I can prove that the same way over here it was like that, the same thing over here. And he writes in his book, what the secret in this pasuk is this and this. How do we know? The value of this verse is 10,021, and it's equal to a pasuk in the book of Bereshit, which is 10,021, and the pasuk over there meant ABC. That's why over here it's also the same.
There has to be some rule.
I cannot do it, my friend.
But if it's ananas, I mean, if it's kosher, so what's wrong?
How do you know it's kosher?
If the results that he arrives at...
That's what I just said before. If you arrive to a result that we know from Mount Sinai, of course you should use it. That's called a hint. Not a scientific proof, a hint. Now let me give you one more thing the Rambam writes. The Rambam say, all the gematriot Chazal used, they got from Moshe Rabbeinu. It transferred from generation to generation. There were not that many. Only very few, compared to the possibilities that are endless. Kabbalah beyad rabotenu. They received it from hand to hand. Chachmei Talmud HaKdoshim, the holy sages of the Talmud, that it was given to Moshe Sinai. Moshe received it from Hashem. Gematriot Yeduot, only few specific numeric values. It's like a prophecy.
So not everything.
Not everything. That's the rule. That's the answer to your question. There's no rule, only one. If we got it in Mount Sinai, the Chachamim wrote it in the Talmud. They didn't sit and made up things. And I use the example of Baal HaTurim. Baal HaTurim. So it's right here, Baal HaTurim used many gematriot to do, but Baal HaTurim never made halachot on his own from it, or made up stories on his own. Now, we're going to prove something else. You know, many years ago I gave a lecture about the Maharal mi Prague, the very big rabbi. He lived in Prague 450 years ago. Was he a huge rabbi? Of course, huge. His brain was a supercomputer. All the secrets of the stories in the Talmud that didn't make any sense to anyone who read it, because there's lots of secrets in the hidden inside. He has a whole book explaining everything. See, that is one to a million, really, 1 to a million. From million Chachamim is one on the top. That's how big he was. And there was a story that for 450 years ago, every Jew in the world willing to put his life on that story. No, you probably know which story I'm talking about, no? The golem. The golem. Before I speak about the golem it's dummy. It's not a real human being. He created a human being according to the story without a soul. He doesn't have free choice. Like a robot. Like we make a aluminum robot and we move it with a remote control. His robot was more sophisticated. He looked like a person, he acted like a person, but he wasn't choosing what to do. He was living like an animal on instruction. That's it. You tell your dog, go out, go in. The dog doesn't have his choices. He acts based on instinct. So what happened over here? The whole world is talking as a way of life about the golem of the Maharal. The golem of the Maharal. The question that we have to ask first of all, before we want to believe or not believe the story, is it possible for one human being to create another human being? That's the first question we have to ask. Wait. I didn't say that I don't know this Gemara. I'm going to read this Gemara soon. But I'm just saying, first question that we have to ask. I'm trying to teach us how to think logical, in the right order. First question you have to ask, does something like this can happen, that one human being will create another human being? We don't see it in our days today. We don't find one human being make another. Do you remember in the last 100 years that someone made another human being and it's reported somewhere in the world? Since they have newspapers, since they have radio shows, television, internet, any incident that one person created another, raise your hand. None, right? So the chance that it will happen is 1 to trillions, no? It's very low chance. However, let me show you some sources that it's possible. The Gemara says in Masechet Sanhedrin, page 65, that Rava is one of the Amorites, bara Gavra, he created a man, a dummy, based on Sefer HaYetzirah. There's a book of creation. Some say Adam already had it. It's the first Torah that Hashem gave to the world was this. One of the first Kabbalah books, Sefer HaYetzirah. And he created this golem. And the Gemara say another story. Rav Chanina and Rav Oshaya, they were sitting every night on Shabbat, every Friday night, and learned Sefer HaYetzirah. They learned the secrets of this heavy Kabbalah book. And they created a calf. Not a cow, a little mini cow, a calf, Egel. It's in Sanhedrin, page 63. Rav Papa created himself a servant that used to serve him. Where is it? Masechet Chulin Kufei, 105. So we see we have several sources that rabbis used this book of Yetzirah and created a living creature, whether it was a human being or a calf. It's not that much of a difference right now. Somebody that breathes and moves. In a Gemara, they ask a question if this calf needs slaughtering, or you can just bang his head and eat him. Cut him to pieces and shish kebab him. What do you think? If you kill him, he's going to have pain like the regular calf? Does he have a nerve system?
No.
What's the reason that the Torah says you have to cut the front of the animals? Because the kosher animals have 2 cords in the front. All the non-kosher animals have 2 in the front and 2 in the back. Reserve. So if you slaughter a pig, blood would still continue to go to his brain from the reserve. There's reserve emergency cords. So he will suffer for half an hour after, until all the blood will spill out. Then he'll die. But in the meantime, he feels all the pain, horrible pain, slaughtering his throat. So the Goyim wanted to use these arguments against the Jews to forbid Jewish kosher slaughtering. They say, you cut the front, if you chop the whole head in one shot, you have a very sharp sword, and you go like this, in one shot. You cut all 4 swords, then we understand why you say your slaughtering does not cause suffering to the animals. But you're only cutting half of the neck. What about the 2 cords in the back? So the answer of the rabbis were, if you find one kosher animal that the Torah named, that we allowed to eat, that have 2 reserve cords in the back, then you win the argument. So they check the cow, they check the sheep, they check all the kosher animals, have only 2 in the front. Why? Torah is divine. Hashem knows You know the kosher animals has to be slaughtered. And the only way they won't feel any pain, that the nerve system instantly stop to work, is by cutting both cord in one shot. That's it. No more pain is sending from the brain into the body. The nerve system is shut automatically. Remember, pain is only the nerve system. If the nerve system is eliminated, no matter what happened to the person, you burn him, you cut him, it doesn't make a beep. You stabbed him, nothing. He'll die later from losing blood. But he won't even make nothing. Why? Because the nerve system will cut from the brain, from the body. That's it. You may ask, but how come a few minutes after you slaughter the cow is still jumping in the slaughtering room, the leg, they're moving like this. Or a chicken, after you chop his head off, he continues to run. How can it be? Until he falls. Who knows?
The signal was sent to the brain.
Very good. The signal was sent already before you try. It's like in the internet. You did a download, and some of the download transfer, and the internet stopped. So now that's it, no internet now. Now you cannot continue the download, but what were downloaded already can still watch, even though there's no internet. Why you watch? Because it was sent already. Then it gets to a point, it gets stuck. But it's a little bit deeper than that. There is reflex. Once the brain stops functioning, so it's like a computer who has a serious virus, everything, light goes here, this, that, all kinds of symptoms in a computer. The computer is dead already, no hard drive, that's it. All kinds of things happen, but there's really no pain. It's reflex. Like sometimes your hand jump, or some people have all kinds of movements. They don't control it. So the body sends it automatically because something somehow, somewhere is not correct. It doesn't work correctly. They don't even notice that. Same thing over here. After you cut them, that since the brain is not sending the right signal anymore, so the nerve system is acting in a strange way. No pain, but all kinds of parts moving. Same thing in open brain surgery. The doctors today, they know if they click with the needle, sharp needle, in certain points in the brain, the hand will jump. They tell you, look, if I touch here and here, the right hand will jump in the air. If I touch over here and here, the left hand will jump. Yeah. It's already, they know already, a little bit already about the brain to show nice things. So you see, it's like electric. But now, do you think he feels that he moves his hand or not? It's reflex, it's automatic reflex. It's very interesting how it works. So now, we have one more source. Rabbi Chaim Volozhin was one of the main students of the Gaon Mivilna. Gaon Mivilna is one of the most important rabbis lived in the last 1,000 years. He lived about 250 years ago in Vilna. And he testified, Rabbi Chaim Volozhin, that his rabbi started to build a golem with Sefer HaYetzirah when he was young. Age 9, the Gaon Mivilna already knew all the Torah, everything.
That book is known right now?
Yes, Rav Chaim Volozhin wrote Agra al Sifra de Tzniuta, Kabbalistic things. The Agra was a huge Kabbalist. So he wrote that the Gaon Mivilna started to create a golem, but they stopped him from Shamayim. They told him he has no permission to do it. Why? The level of the generation is much less than 2,000 years ago. But in the Gemara, they say that one of the rabbis, they were sitting in Purim, drinking Purim, they got a little drunk, and one of them slaughtered the other, took a knife and killed him. And then when he became sober, he saw that he just killed his friend, blood all over. So he returned his soul back to his body with the secrets that he knew. The next year, he sent him an invitation to come to a Purim party. Tell you this, the nerve they had, this guy. He killed me last year. You sent me an invitation to come. So he told him, listen, lo kol yom Purim. In Israel, it's a very famous say. Not every day it's Purim, my friend. One Purim, you had a miracle. Now you want to count on a miracle again? So he told him, I sent you a dummy, a golem. I created a person and send him with an order to invite you to my Purim party. I can create a person from nothing. You already a made body. Just to push the soul back into your body is a piece of cake for me. That's what he told him. The one who inviting you, who gives you the invitation, who is he? Not a regular person. Now what do you think? Can you take the golem and put him a part of the minyan?
No.
We have 9 people, but he knows how to answer amen.
He's a robot. There's no soul.
It's like saying, bring my parrot, he also knows how to say amen. Same thing. Right? Can't. Yeah, there's a book that were written about this question. It sounds like a joke. That's what's beautiful about Judaism. Anything you think that who would even think about it, at least one book was written about it. So there's an entire book about what I just said. If you can take the golem and count him as a minyan. Who wrote this book? One of the most important poskim, Chacham Tzvi, Shut Chacham Tzvi, a famous Shut, Sheelot V'Tshuvot. He asked over there, he has a whole chapter about this, and also another Chacham asked about it, Yavetz, also important Chacham. They ask if you can take the golem and make him a part of the minyan. Yeah.
Do all the big rabbis today read the book?
We don't know where Sefer HaYetzirah is today. We don't know. If somebody has it, we don't know where it is. This book is gone. Nobody ever pointed this book, Sefer HaYetzirah. But, now going back to what we started. We ask if the Maharal created the golem 450 years ago. So I said, first question we have to ask if there is any indication, any record in a history that somebody ever made a golem. The answer is yes. There are reliable sources from the Talmud. Let's have even more chutzpah. How do I know that the Talmud is correct? Maybe they also made it up. Because I'm going to prove to you in a few minutes that the Maharal never happened. It's all fiction. So how do we know? Maybe in a Talmud is also fiction.
Because you said somebody would have complained if it was.
Very good, Sami. I'm very happy that you remember the previous lectures. It's good. It gives a feeling that you're not wasting your time. Something good happened after all. You know, it's like one guy came to give a lecture, nobody showed up. You see one person sitting in the audience. So you say to him, thank you for coming, thanks to you I'll be able to give my lecture and get paid. They were getting paid for the lecture. So after he said that, so the guy said to him, just do me a favor, try to finish fast because I'm the next speaker after you. There's a similar story to this, that he said to the guy, thank you very much for coming. He said, listen, do me a favor, don't make it long because I'm the janitor here, I have to lock the place. All right, so now, how do we know every story in the Talmud really happened? The answer is, when they wrote the Talmud, they wrote it with the knowledge that it's going to be the most important Jewish book in history. Even, listen good to what I say to you. I know it may sound controversial, but I can prove to you that that's what it is. Even more necessary from the actual written Torah. Because Chas v'Shalom, if the Goyim would come with guns to our head and say you have to give up one of your Torahs, your Talmud or your written Torah, one of them we have to take, and you have no permission to touch it ever again. If we give them the Talmud, we're gone. That's it. We don't know what to do ever. 1 or 2, 5 generations. Today it's a different story because today we have everything written in Shulchan Aruch. I'm talking 2,000 years ago when Talmud was everything. It was the book of law. There was no Rambam, no Rashi, no Shulchan Aruch, no nothing. Everyone learned halakha from the Talmud. Look how brilliant they were. Every ordinary person learned halakha from the Talmud, what to do, what not to do. So it shows that almost every person was in the level of Rashi. Because Rashi was one of the only one who knew everything in the Talmud. How many like this you had in 900 years ago? That they knew everything in the Talmud. How many? A few hundreds like this in the whole world? In such level? But in the time of the Talmud, it was an ordinary Shulchan Aruch. Even Rabbi Yosef Karo say, I wrote Shulchan Aruch as a reminder for people once a month to go over it on their way. Like, by the way, and it takes us 5-6 years to learn it today. Every month for an ordinary person. Hard to believe. So, when they wrote the Talmud, if we lose the Talmud, we basically lost Judaism. If Chaz v'Shalom, they will take away the written Torah from us, yes, we would miss a lot of important things. We won't maybe remember the history. We will forget the story of Avraham Avinu. We won't know, some of the verses will be gone from us. Yes, it will be a very big hole in Judaism if we Chaz v'Shalom lose the written Torah. But the foundation of everything will still be in our hand because the Talmud already told us what to do. We won't know why. The Talmud did not write all the verses, but at least we know what to do. So we can be righteous even without the written Torah, just following the Talmud. So if you take the Talmud and leave us with the written Torah, we cannot keep one mitzvah. So the Chachamim knew when we write the Talmud, it's the most important book in Jewish history. Why? All the oral Torah will be in it. It was forbidden to write it for 1300 years. It had to be oral laws. Oral means oral, don't write. But Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi saw we're going to the exile now, we're going to lose everything. He wrote the Mishnah. And he wrote the Mishnah, he didn't write the Mishnayot, he just collected the Mishnayot of all the Tanaim in his time. Collected it into one book. Some of the Mishnayot he said, but it's all the other ones. He collected it to the Mishnah, Shisha Sidrei Mishnah. And then came the Gemara and explained what it means. So together the Mishnah and the Gemara, it's basically what Judaism is all about. From there you learn everything. Now, if I'm going to write the book of God, all the laws that God gave out in Mount Sinai, will I take the risk and write about my father that he was walking on water if I know it did not happen? What would happen to my 30, 40 years of sitting and writing with a feather from morning to night without electric, with a candle, to write such a Talmud with a feather? Do you know how many years it's going to take just to write? And to follow all the halachot and to compare that there's no contradiction. It's a mission of a lifetime. So I'll sit all my life and write the most important book in the Jewish history, and I'm going to begin to put 50 or 60 stories about my father, about my son, about this, about that, about this one. He walks on water, he fly in the air, he goes like this and the tree fly in the air. What would happen to my beautiful book? I'll go to the garbage before I even finish it. First chapter, they'll read this Sipurei Alibaba. They say, oh, this guy is, put him in a mental house. Why does he write this nonsense? We live here. We know his father. We know his son. We know his neighbor. We know this rabbi. We know he never made the tree fly. What is these stories? They would come to me and say, excuse me, you wrote 60 stories in your book. Prove one of them. Show witnesses. They'll kill him. Not only that, every argument in halacha, nobody gave up. Right away, attack. How do you know? Prove that. Yes, no, yes, no. The whole Talmud is like this. Allowed, not allowed. From here we can't. Allowed, not allowed. Everything is a challenge. Nobody ever challenged all the story. Everyone say, yes, sir. Of course, yes, sir. Because they know it was a way of life. Nothing special. You read in the Torah, the filthy Egyptians were doing magics. I showed you before. They became snakes all over. It wasn't anything special. If one of the story never happened, everyone would come to Rav Ashi and Ravina and say, excuse me. We cannot count on this book. It's a joke. What is this? Stories. So we would lose the halacha part. It would jeopardize the oral Torah that Hashem gave us in Mount Sinai. Think about it. Hashem will never forgive us for this. You have to be such a wicked person. You want to write fiction stories? Write a separate book. Why are you putting it inside the book of God? You don't know what's going to happen when you get caught? All the Torah will go to the toilet because of you. Get the point here or no? So if the Talmud tell you that he created a human being, there are many people who saw it. Of course, we saw it. That's it, no question. Because if he wasn't, no one would accept it as the most important book in history. So now, let's talk about the Maharal, how we know. I just want to open up your mind to show you, again, for the third time today, I'm repeating it, because I don't want misunderstandings here. I want to open up your mind. Is the Torah is divine? 1,000,000,000% yes. Not million, billion. For sure. Millions of people saw Moshe and Hashem speaking. Every letter in the Torah is divine? 1,000,000,000% yes. Not one letter is somebody added on his own. Not Moshe and nobody else. Is the oral Torah is divine? 1,000,000,000% yes. 100%. But, is everything after that was written in all the books in the last, 1,000 years, every word there is divine? No. No. It's rabbis, smart people, giant. I told you how giant they were. If somebody entered to the book a story, maybe somebody told it to him. Maybe he copied it from somebody else that said the story, and then if you go to the source of the story, you find that it wasn't exactly like that. How do I know? There are stories by the Rishonim, and there's contradiction. How was the version of the story? They say it was his son, and he said no, it was his father. So you get the same story, there's already two opinions who we are talking about, the son or the father. So this is an example that the story, even if it happened, is not, we don't know exactly the details for sure. But we are not talking in the Torah. And the Torah, there's no question if Moshe and Paro spoke. There's no question if there was 10 plagues or 11. Everything in the Torah, everybody in the world knows it's one way. That's it. No other way. So if you ever find in a book a story that later will be proven not authentic, it doesn't touch the Torah even a bit. There is the Torah of Hashem, and there's many, many beautiful books who are written, hundreds of thousands of books. We cannot be responsible that every word there is correct. There's misspelling, there's printing problems. And now I'm going to shock you. Listen good. And time is running out, so let's finish this at least. It says like this. The historians and the investigators, they checked the story of the Maharal Prague. And they found that 250 years after he passed away, he was 450 years ago. 250 years ago, after 250 years after he passed away, that means 200 years ago. 200 years ago. There was a person called Rabbi Yudel Rosenberg. Rabbi Yudel Rosenberg. Somewhere in Ashkenaz, maybe in Prague, I don't know. He wrote a book called Niflaot HaMaharal. The Wonders of the Maharal. That say many, many unbelievable stories about the Maharal. Hard to believe that a person was able to do what he wrote over there. And he said that all his information came from the son-in-law of the Maharal himself. He copied from his writings. Son-in-law saw his father-in-law. So I can say what my father-in-law is doing or not, because I live with him in the same generation. So if I wrote a diary, 200 years, somebody found my diary and he published a book based on my diary, that's authentic information. So he claimed that he has all the information from the Khatan of the Maharal, from his son-in-law. And after the book was published, it was found that it is all fiction. All the stories over there, not one of them was true. He made up all the story. Why did he make it up? Now we can sit and argue for a year. Maybe he wanted to encourage the youth, to admire the Maharal, maybe, I don't know, maybe he wanted to become a millionaire selling many books, who knows, everyone has their agenda. But, same thing they found out that the book Haggadah Shel Pesach, the Haggadah of Pesach, with the commentary of the Maharal Prague, was never written by the Maharal Prague. Another fiction. He was copied from different parts who claiming that he came from the Maharal. It could be that he really said it, but there's a difference. If you take it from his notebook or from notebooks of other people who claim that they heard it from him, it's already not the same level. You understand what I'm saying here or no? And it was also claimed by the same Yudel Rosenberg, same person. He has a habit to make up stories. Then also one more book he wrote, Choshen HaMishpat Shel HaKohen HaGadol, about the Choshen of the Kohen HaGadol. It was also a fiction story that was copied, believe it or not, from Arthur Conan Doyle. Who was he? Who was he? A goy. Which one? What books he wrote? Sherlock Holmes. Very good. You see how we can be fooled easily if we don't check the roots? I just gave you...
So how did you prove there was no guideline? I didn't hear any proof.
Wait. The source of the story of the Goylem came from this book by Yudel Rosenberg. Before that, nobody ever... There's no book in the history that were written before.
Everybody knew it.
Huh?
Everybody knew it.
So if everyone knew it, how come nobody wrote about it in a book? Can you imagine that 200 years everyone's speaking about the Golem of the Maharal and he wasn't mentioned, and today every book that writes about it mention it? Everyone who writes a book, if you write about the Maharal, would you forget to write that he created a human being? For 200 years nobody remembers such a thing? Come on. You have to use common sense, Rabbi. It's common sense, simple common sense. If 200 years, not one person mentioned anything about it in any book, such an event. We're not talking that, you know, his wine spill and I don't know what happened, a miracle happened and he died in a second. Because there's no record. The historians, they checked all over, there's not one book that was ever found about him, about his writing, not one person in all the libraries in Prague. There are many things about him, and none of the people who wrote about him mentioned the story about the Golem until Mr. Rosenberg showed up. But later he admitted that the whole story, this was all fiction.
Rosenberg admitted this? Who admitted that?
The Yudel Rosenberg.
Oh, he himself.
He was confronted and he admitted that he made up all the story. Where did I read that? Hold on, let me find. Oh, the Golem story was not mentioned by the son of the Maharal. He wrote many things in the name of his father, or by any one of his students. Not one of the students that wrote many books is ever mentioned. Not by his main student, Rav David Gans, that all his Torah is the Torah.
He's living with the golem. Why do they have to mention it?
Rabbi, somebody has a golem in the world. What? It's something that happens every minute.
People that are living with it, they have him in his...
So how come he doesn't mention that not one hint about the rabbi who made a human being? If one rabbi today would make a person, do you know anyone who would write? Imagine Rav Steinman tomorrow would create a golem and his students would see it. And now they have to write a book about the life of Rav Steinman. What's the chance that they will forget such an important event? Do you think there's a chance? It's the first thing they'll write in the introduction. The divine rabbi that was able to create a golem. And how many people like this in the history you have? 5? Well, as you forget such a thing. Not only that, it says, Rav David Gans wrote a biography. Now it's not already a halacha book, about Rabbo HaMaharal, about his Rabbi the Maharal, in his historical book, Tzemach David. Not even one hint about this. So remember, is it possible to create golem? Yes. People created that? Yes. But it wasn't him. So I say to myself, I don't understand. We have so much unbelievable real stories. Real. Why do we have to invent lies?
How about the autism? Is that true, or the autistic story?
The autistic stories depend. Not all autistics are reliable. I heard in the name of Rav Steinman and Rav Weintraub that there's 11 autistic that were checked that they're authentic. I spoke to one of them. And I tell you, you don't have to believe me, and it doesn't matter, because the Torah is not determined if the autistic knows what they're talking about or not. We didn't get that rule in Har Sinai. If the autistic are wrong, that means the Torah is wrong. If they're right, it means the Torah is right.
They believe in that, and then they'll find out a fake autist, and they're gonna use their emunah.
So first of all, in the books it says that there's 11 reliable ones. And we already know the names. One of them is Ben and Daniel and of course.
Some of them are not.
Of course there's a lot of...
Break our belief.
Of course, there's a lot of reliable Sipurei Tzadikim, because there's many miracles who happen to the Tzadikim, and if anyone had miracles in the history, are the Tzadikim, of course. But I want to make it clear to everyone that that's not the way we check the authentic parts of the Torah. We don't check if the Torah is divine by what miracles reported by this rabbi or the other one. We do not appreciate the rabbi based on how many miracles are told about him. Even though no one says stories like this about you and me, and they only say about him, that means he was somebody great, right? Even if it's all fiction, but he was somebody great, it doesn't matter. Please never, remember this rule. You never admire someone because he had the ability to make magics. Never. That's what Hashem says.
So why should we use the autistics at all?
The autistics say words of musar, ethics. The truth is, we don't need them. Everything they ever said is written in the Talmud and written by the Sifrei Musar. We don't really need them. The problem today is that people need gimmicks. Gimmicks. A travel agency invented Uman. Uman became a huge gimmick. 25 years ago, it was 11 people going there. Now 25,000. The travel agency making $30 million profits in Yerushalayim, in Israel, every year from fooling so many people and sending them there. Understand? I asked myself for a billion times already, how a Jew that learns Torah, supposed to be smart. The minimum requirement by a smart person is to calculate it 1 against 1. You have Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai Be'eri 20 minutes ride from your home. You have Rabbi Akiva, the legend that was the biggest Jew in history. Rabbi Akiva, Arba Nichnesu LaPardes. Rabbi Akiva went to the highest level in the upper worlds. Everyone understands there will never be another Rabbi Akiva after him. It's not a question, it's going to happen again. Same thing, there won't be Shlomo HaMelech. It will never be Rabbi Akiva. He's right across the street from me. I'm going to leave him and go to a rabbi who passed away 6 generations ago. With all due respect, as holy as he was.
If it worked for certain people, it worked.
How it works? Can you prove that it works?
But if someone went there and came back and became religious.
You know how many people went to the Kabbalah Center and became religious in the filthiest place on earth? Kabbalah Center. You know how many? I know 7, 8 like this. After that, they opened up their eyes that Judaism is something special, and they came to me and to other people. And we made them really religious. It's not you know how many people became religious by searching for Christianity, and they realized that it's nonsense, it doesn't make sense, and then they went to Judaism? Who made you religious? It's not an indication that it's real. A dog can make you religious. I tell you, I knew a dog that if you knew him, you would become religious. You were always religious. Why? He fasts 5 days a year. My aunt's dog, alav shalom. Billy, little puppy, black, not white, black. Same thing, but black. Male. 5 days a year, they give him food, he refused to eat. So someone clever that sees such a thing, and then he hears the rabbi say that wicked people come back in reincarnations of dogs. And he sees in front of his eyes this dog eating non-stop all year round. 5 days, he doesn't touch the food. Repeating 14 years like this. Is it enough to become religious?
He could have been trained.
Trained by whom?
People, you see the people behave differently.
They put food in front of him.
The Gemara says that Mu'ed, Lahazik, is on the holidays, on Shabbos, he won't do it because the people are dressed different.
I know my aunt. She didn't train the dog when to eat, when not to eat. She put the plates in front of him. Yes.
the Zohar was revealed in the 13th century. Before that, they only select few knew about it. But
Yes.
Today, after the 13th century, this was the authentic Zohar that was discovered and given to us.
Yes. So what's the question?
How do we know that this is the authentic Zohar that was discovered and given to us?
We will never know. We believe that that's what it is. It's a matter of belief. We will never know. Why? First of all, you should know that there are many, many big rabbis who had doubt when it was written. Forget when it was revealed. Some of the biggest rabbis in history had doubts when it was written. What made them have a doubt is that parts of the Zohar have additions. There's many parts in the name of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, so everyone knows when Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai lived. But then there's Amora, who mentioned in the Zohar, who lived 200 years after Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Cannot be that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai wrote about Amoraim when they only will be born 200 years after him. So now, when you ask those who bring the Zohar that it was written 2,000 years ago by Rabbi Shimon, by his student Rabbi Abba, so you ask them how you explain such a thing. So they say it's not a question. The source, the foundation of the Zohar, let's say 70, 80, 90% of it, all the things that related to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, of course, was written in his time. Later, there's additions to the Zohar. Obviously, I mean, we're not dumb. We see that this rabbi lived 200 years later. So, one thing I want to tell you, when there is a contradiction between the Zohar and the Talmud, if the Zohar is more strict or something like that, what do we go by? The Talmud. Why?
The older.
Why? If Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai wrote the Zohar, it's good enough to go by him. It's the giant Chacham. Why we ignore him and we go like the Talmud? Because the Talmud has tradition. The Zohar doesn't. Tradition means Mesorah. We know who transferred it to who. We have a record, direct, no gap. It did not disappear for 1,300 years. And one day showed up. We know. He wrote it, he learned it, he was a student, everyone, hundreds transferred it, until it was concluded by the Rambam, Rashi. There's constant learning in the Talmud from the minute it was published. We always had it. One day a book showed up, you look at the book, you are amazed. The book has secrets about the creation, knowledge that, it's all lots of divine knowledge there. Yes, you cannot deny it. But we don't make the halacha based on the Zohar. You want to be stricter? No problem, it's not a sin. You can always do extra. According to the Zohar, you need to put the water next to your bed. You don't make one step. You just right away open up your eyes, you have a bucket, you make netilah, don't walk to the thing. So many Kabbalists, they put the water, they cover it next to their bed. If you don't do it, can we call you wicked? No. Why? Shulchan Aruch doesn't require it. So you understand? We do not move from the halacha. That's why I always scream. All the cults in Judaism who pop up, some of them more authentic than others, some of them less. In the last 200-300 years and 50 years and 80 years ago, what do we care? We had 3,100 years Torah before it. Why will I leave tradition of 3,100 years and follow a group, with all due respect, about what they're renewing in Judaism? What, we need you to renew Judaism? We didn't know what Judaism is before you showed up? So they come and say, listen, it was necessary in our days, you don't understand, it was a tragedy in a Jewish nation. In Ashkenaz, many of the Ashkenazim Jews went to Tnuat HaAskala, the Askala movement, were using logical arguments to steal Bachurei Yeshiva to go to colleges and to become Goyim. And they made such a holocaust, spiritual holocaust in the countries of Ashkenaz. So then some of this group came up, they wanted to make it more fun. Like the kids say, I want to have fun. So you have to keep this law. But I want to have fun. So the father has to be creative. How will I make my son keep Shabbos, but I'll make my son have fun? So they came up with a solution, Shabbos party. Everyone loves Shabbos. Psh, candy, popcorn, bisli, bamba, cake, ice cream. I pay, and they all smile. That's what it is, Shabbos party. The kids are they're crazy about Shabbat. Shabbos party. They make the Shabbat because they're not capable of understanding that that's the law, you have to be proud of it, that you keep it. Kids don't understand. So when they saw that they're losing many of their youth, they came up with the idea of gathering together, playing guitar, dancing, drinking l'chaim, eating, So it became beautiful komuna. It's very nice. But as long as it doesn't contradict Judaism, why not? It's extra, no problem. Extra. For instance, the Torah, let's say the halakha say you have to cover your head. You want to put 10 kippah on your head? What do I care? You're not contradicting the Torah. It's foolish, but at least you're not contradicting the Torah. The problem begins that it's already begin to contradict the Torah in certain points. Then that's where the problem begins. As long as it doesn't contradict the Torah, if we can make the Torah stronger in the mind of the people and in their heart, why not? It's even an obligation to do it. The problem begins is that it may, chas v'shalom, not always, but sometimes lead to situation that it contradict the halakha. That ikar become tafel and tafel become ikar. That the main things become secondary and the secondary things become the main thing. And already the priorities of the Torah are not the same priority in some of the places that you go today. You understand? And mamash, the last thing for today, before we finished,